And there's a car immediately on the road without anything, naturally. Well met, lords and ladies, Jacob Butter speaking, and a warm welcome to this week's Walking Wednesday. It's actually kind of warm for once, even though we're almost in winter. I say kind of, not really too much. Then again, I am doing this in the middle of the day. Reason for that is because we've just come out of pitching our ideas for the festival. I should be excited. This should have been the moment to really cap off the great week so far and having all those... Sorry, now I'm at the road again, great. There's no traffic lights or anything here. I have to time this just right. Okay, guys. Right. Yeah, so again, I should be excited. But considering what just happened, I'm really not thinking, I don't know. I'm not as hopeful as I was, basically. I'll get to that in a bit. First of all, I've been talking about directorials, those pieces, for quite a significant amount of time now. So yeah, those ones went really well. I thoroughly enjoyed all of them. Yeah, some to more of a degree than others, but genuinely, I think everyone brought something very different and something of very high quality to the table. And it's just a shame that it seems like we're not going to be able to do that for a second time. They started off in the pitch today. Sorry, it's just on my mind because of what just happened. I mean, I didn't even want to... I could elaborate on the fact that, you know, there's going to be a link eventually for the film performances, but I can't show people on here because of copyright for the authors and stuff like that. But yeah, it seems like, you know, my piece, I could say my piece was, you know, was sold out. In fact, it was oversold actually. And we had to worry about setting up chairs because it was a traverse layout rather than the end-on ones that everyone else did. Which is why the camera's going to be in the wrong position. But yeah, as far as everything else goes, yeah, genuinely everyone brought their all to the performance, like on the last day, and it was great to actually see it unfold before my very eyes, even if my very eyes had to see it unfold from a distance in the end-on audience that didn't exist apart from the writer and me, because, you know, we didn't have enough space for people. But yeah, apparently we're getting marked on the presentation that we did beforehand, which is interesting because that was the part that, you know, took the least effort to come up with as far as like everything else goes. So I'm not really entirely sure how that's supposed to work out, because of course in the presentation I don't want to give everything away, but I don't know. We'll see. What's done is done, and at last, after all the stress, I finally don't have to worry about that anymore. And also the line issue was fixed. So overall everything went well. So yeah, I could elaborate more on that, but again, I'm just so focused on what just happened in the pitch meeting, like right now, before I'm doing this. So yeah, like I said before, everyone, the tutors sang the praise of everyone in terms of, you know, how well we'd worked together, and hopefully it was boosted our confidence as to producing new material with each other, which, in fairness, it did, and it has. But again, I don't think we're going to be able to do that second time as much as we all want to. Oh, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that we're not going to be able to work together. We absolutely are. I mean, we know each other's strengths and weaknesses and such. It's just that what I didn't account for was just how many people were going to pitch a show idea. Because my goodness, there's quite a few of them. That was the issue. So I think people know by now that whenever no one raises their hand and goes for something, I will then take it up, you know, because I like to generally wait, but if no one's actually has the confidence to actually pursue in the immediate moment, then I'm fine with picking up those pieces. And that's something that I always do, whether it's in class that's the only other scenario this would ever happen in. So yes, in class. I'm sure there's others, but again, I can't think straight right now. But yeah, so that happened today again. And the thing is, it kind of harkens back in a way, well, it would have harkened back in a way to one time when I did a D of E presentation. And that was, I mean, it was not a presentation, it was a speech, sorry, I did a D of E speech. It was all to do with like the sports, well, the head of PE wanted me to talk about the sports section of D of E. If you don't know what that is, it's like an award that you actually get given if you complete certain tasks for a certain amount of months, etc., etc. Yeah, thing with that is, for some reason, yeah, but yeah, that was fine. I prepared that speech in about 5 minutes, miraculously, and it just seemed that, you know, by having general dramatic charm and charisma, I won over the audience. You know, I had a couple of jokes in there, as in like I knew what I was talking about, and actually, even though I went second, I had the crowd on my side, because once again, whenever I do a presentation or speech or anything, I like to make it memorable, because it's important, you know. It's got to be something that you remember afterwards. Hold on. Again, road. Okay, yeah, I'm not going to get an opening right now. I'll follow alongside this. So yeah, basically, I did that again. I actually like properly planned something out. I had some visuals to go along with it. I even performed a song. Because I don't know if people remember, a while ago I did a casting for a gacha series called Siren Story. Sorry, 1 second. Yep. And yeah, that was supposed to be a musical featuring all original songs, and you know, trying to actually see, like, you know, well, the rise of Gacha Club itself and the options for mermaid stories and siren stories now, that how to actually go forward. That's a big rising thing at the time. It never worked out because just because like I never storyboarded the whole thing, and the songs themselves didn't fall together. The structure was different, and I finished up storyboarding that for this pitch yesterday, actually. So I have the entire storyboard for a stage play version of that gacha series that I was going to actually find an excuse to develop into the festival, and also at the same time, finally, let's just show you the notebook. I want to take it out, basically. There's the notebook, storyboarded. And yeah, and finally, do what I wanted to do for years, and just write a musical and make a musical. Because, you know, I love acting, writing, and singing and songwriting. And musicals encompass all of those things. And this was finally the moment that I thought, okay, yes, we've dealt with COVID. I was going to do a piece beforehand in extracurricular, but COVID happened, it couldn't go forward. Oh well, you know, I'll wait, I'll buy my time. Second year, didn't manage it. Third year, at long last, I actually would get the chance to do that musical. And the tutor in charge of the festival, or in charge of organising the festival, as far as right now goes, said to us, oh great, you know, you need something for a large cast. We need something that can have a bunch of people involved, because everyone else is pitching short projects. So it'd be nice to have something for the entire year group to be involved with, you know, as a great last performance with us. And so, foolish me believed that and thought, oh, that's a great idea. I think, because I write for a lot of characters all the time, my stories tend to feature quite a few people. So who better to attempt a large-scale performance? And oh, it just so happens that I have this idea that I couldn't get developed beforehand, that I want to develop, and if I do develop into stage format, I can then go back to the gacha one, and it was all going to work out. I was so excited. I performed the first song of that piece for everyone. That was my big opening. The reason the whole thing about the volunteering stuff beforehand was mentioned was because the thing with me there was that it happened again, basically. I ended up going second. And normally that's fine, but I like to go last. Usually when I'm in school presentation mode, I usually ask to go last. Because once again, it's all about my tactic of being memorable. But no, this time actually the director herself, like the tutor herself, the same one in charge again, she called out on me and said it seemed like I was itching to go. Which, to be fair, I was, but I was willing to wait to see, like, the sea of other pitches and not get lost myself. But alas, much like the townsfolk in Hawaii that the siren story is all about, I too may have actually gone and gotten swept away and drowned in the sea of pitches that came after. I'm not necessarily saying that, I mean, as far as memorability goes, I think I got it. I think I nailed it. At least as far as that goes. And one person who I was sitting right in front of, actually, she was behind me, I was going to say right behind me, yeah. She was behind me, and then she asked, oh, can I be in it? And I was actually really excited again right there, because it seemed like, because she actually said she was going to do like a one-woman show beforehand. And the fact that she actually was persuaded, even though she was in my directing group actually before, and it seemed like she was on board for that. So I thought, wow, I've actually convinced somebody who had a solid idea beforehand. This seems to be going pretty well. Then, of course, the next pitch happened, then the next, and the next. And it became abundantly clear that we had so many people people writing the show, that then writing a show or writing a pitch idea, and so people that had already gotten a lot of their cast and taken up some of the actors that would have otherwise might have thought to audition for something earlier. They'd already talked about this beforehand, which again I still think was unfair, because we had a moment in time we were supposed to give the pitches, which was right now. And everyone was just like, hey, I'm doing this thing, I'm gonna steal you quickly. I say it's unfair, but you know what? I respect the tactic. You've got to actually appreciate when somebody, pulls one over you in that regard. So, actually, yeah, I'm not annoyed at that, really. I'm just annoyed at myself for not thinking about that sooner, actually. I mentioned my piece beforehand, but I didn't want to, knuckle down anyone. It kind of goes back to, that I say whenever Aiden and I write a show and he'll like call a certain role that he likes in the immediate moment that I pitch the characters, or he pitches the characters or something. I'll also try to assign me a role at the same time. I don't really operate like that, usually. I mean, he's quite persistent, so I let him, sometimes take some of the roles, which may come back to bite us in the future, but depends. He did that for Simon's Story as well, actually. That's why he ended up becoming Rex, and we never actually auditioned that character. But yeah, the point is, in general, what happens... sorry. Yeah. In general, what happens is that he'll do that, and but I like to think about it in terms of, I don't want to choose a cast before I pitch an idea, because I don't know who's going to want to be involved. So I had a Gacha mini movie in 2019 that I was going to do that featured a lot of the OG Mutant Girl cast in roles that I thought would be best for them. This was before I even met Aiden, so that was all on me. But eventually, because I got so busy, that idea fell through. Because I was working on Mutant Girl entirely on my own in terms of editing, so I didn't have a chance to think about anything else, think about other projects. So, again, not an option. But then afterwards, every other chance I've gotten, I've pitched an idea to other people. I want to get involved. I don't like closed castings, which is what most groups now have. And yet still, even though they have the closed casting, they end up pitching as well, and they're now probably going to absorb some other people who might want to get involved with other stuff, and it's just like, oh, come on. And then they called upon some other people in the other projects that already had their members to see if they weren't involved. One of them, granted, one was a director. Now, issue with that, with directors too, because one of the concerns the tutor actually had for us was the fact that there were so many shows and there weren't as many directors, but none of the directors said that most directors weren't there. They didn't show up. So how exactly are you supposed to judge for a show that you haven't seen how well that's going to do? You know, what you're going to do it or not. Fortunately, this is the one area that I have prepared for. I didn't set in stone that one of the directors from the directing course was going to direct my piece. However, it seems now, having done that, might have just saved me a little bit, because who knows. But yeah, as far as the actors went, this all culminated in casting a vote. And you know, that's fine, but having so many people there and then working around with the tutor I mentioned before, and also the directing one, they both are giving a list of the characters. It seems I might have to sign on for one of them myself now. But the whole point of me doing a large cast, an ensemble piece, in fact, a musical, that's suddenly gone now because of all of the different shows that nobody actually accounted for. So naturally, that's why I just suddenly, like, my excitement slowly died as I was running through. You know, the directing tutor kept on saying to me, "Oh yes, you know, you can play one of the characters, but that still doesn't solve the issue of like all the totals and stuff." It's like, I know. I'm just working through one part at a time, trying to solve that. It's like, actually, when I was working with Dana, I was going to do a different piece, which would have been even worse if it's this festival, because it's even larger cast. So thank Christ I didn't do that one. It's also in the same notebook I've got now. It's the full stage play. The only play I've ever fully finished writing, ever. So again, it's my avenue into stage plays as well. But yeah, when I was working with Dana, actually, she actually kept it, because it was an extracurricular thing, so it could have like had any pool basically, but who would want to get involved, basically. So, you know, that's before COVID happened and no one got involved, naturally. But yeah, despite that, what happened afterwards was, what happened then, during that time, was she went through every scene and acknowledged the fact that certain scenes required all of the people to be there. And so, in a 5-act play, one act of which had 8 scenes or 7 scenes in total, like Act 1. It's kind of like Shakespeare, most, like Act 1 had a bunch of scenes, and then the other acts that followed were much smaller. I know, kind of works out. But during that time, we spent like a couple of hours going through. And yes, of course, you know, the ultimate problem was acknowledged. I acknowledged the ultimate problem that we might not get enough people involved. And I understood that. So no matter how many times that got repeated to me, my procedure was to work through one issue at a time and go through that. Particularly because, you know, mine and one of the other directors, his performance, you know, we had the largest cast, and therefore we were solving the problem. Even though that's precisely what we were told to do in the first place, or were encouraged to do by that tutor, but I digress. So now, then the issue became, you know, the other director was willing to put it up to a vote. I was panicking, like, felt so sick at that point that I didn't say anything. So, you know, I just kind of let him say his thing. But then not only that, but it wasn't just between our performances. No, that would have been bad enough. But now all the votes are split, ranking from 1 to 6 in between a bunch of the performances. that didn't even get to choose whether they want to go to a vote or not. So, and of course you might be thinking, well, why not just do multiple roles? Why not have actors be in different shows? You know, they can have a main role in one of them and a side role or ensemble role in another. To which I would say yes, and all of the actors agreed, you know, to make that sacrifice. But of course the other directors insisted, oh yeah, contact hours are going to be a huge thing. To make a fully fledged show this time, we need a minimum of 75 hours within 2 weeks. I mean, first of all, we weren't even told, well, I don't know if we were told they said it was going to be 2 weeks of festival time, you know, because of course this is a classic scenario of, oh yeah, we've got plenty of time to think about this festival stuff, and to immediately think about, oh no, we need to decide this right now in this room. I mean, make up your minds, but yes, fine. Let's say for the sake of argument that, you know, we do have that this times we've given now are accurate. And we have 2 weeks to prepare this show and 75 contact hours in which to do it. Well, great. But still, you know, the directors themselves would have been cautioned, if they were here, they would have been cautioned to not think about they have to account for all the people that that have work commitments. You know, when drafting rehearsal schedules, they have to think about work commitments. They have to think about who's in what other shows, etc., etc. And that's what the technician was saying to us. To which I would, of course, replied, well, yes, that's why we learnt to do those things. That is indeed the skill we would need to apply in the real world, and thus we learnt it and we practiced it in the previous module. So, I don't know. Again, I was feeling just so, my stomach was like rolling so much, I very wanted to speak at all. No one wanted to put this to a vote. But yeah, everyone had to rank the shows based on mostly just the pictures that they'd gotten, which is where I'm hoping that I did enough memorable work. Do you hear that pitch? The high pitch ringing. Anyway, there it is again. What is that? I think it's a motion sensor coming from over there. Okay, I'm back. I'm hoping against hope that I did all I could, everything in my power, to be memorable. I went through the characters themselves and what they were kind of like. I went through one of the songs to prove to people. They asked me, "How did you write that song?" And my answer was, "Yes, I did." I always forget to specify that because people, I don't know why people just assume, I guess, that I'm performing something that I just didn't write. I don't know. I should have mentioned that. And you know, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. But yeah, I just hope that everything that I applied now makes people think, oh yeah, this is a solid idea. It's been planned, it's been prepared, and it can indeed go forward, and they might be excited to do so. All right, this is Future Jacob. I'm back in my room obviously now because I came back. So basically, after I finished recording that video, I then went to check on the Facebook group that we have, or the Messenger group, and asked, oh, how are we going to find out the results of the voting? Because, you know, it was still very much on my mind, obviously. And as it turns out, when the tutors actually said to us, if you've cast your votes and you've done your rankings, please leave, they meant please leave and then promptly return when we call you, because it was a break. See, we've never had a break in any of the meetings before, so I thought it was done and, you know, we could go. So I left and did Walking Wednesday. So as it turns out, the voting has actually been decided. People have actually cast judgment on Siren's Story already, and it actually made the cut. So I'm so relieved about that. But yeah, that was a huge panic. I've already offered my commiserations to people who didn't actually get their shows selected. Everything that I say in this video, basically, other than my nerves to getting selected, so please disregard all that stuff, everything else I said still stands. I think the voting system was cruel and couldn't be accounted for, like I said to them, and it just wasn't the way to handle things. I mean, don't get wrong, I'm glad it worked out in my favor, but I do acknowledge the fact that that wasn't the case for everyone. But yeah, I'm just so relieved that my dream of actually putting a musical together is going to go through. And yeah, maybe I should actually work with some of the writers who didn't get a chance to do their thing and actually see if they can include some of their ideas. That would depend, actually. I'm not sure who actually made it, who didn't, because again, I wasn't there for that and I left too soon. So yeah, whoops. But yeah, also, thank you everyone so much who actually voted for that. I don't know how many are going to see this video, and I don't know how it's going to come across, but genuinely, you've made me really, really happy, and I can't wait to get started on this. So, well, I mean, I have gotten started already. I've got quite a lot of it written to begin with, but I can't wait to continue and adapt it into the stage. Basically that. So yeah, plenty of songs, hopefully plenty of dancing, and plenty of acting. Something for everyone. And I hope that large cast can stay in somewhat of a capacity. So who knows? Anyway, back to the video. Thank you everyone once again. Even the writers and directors were encouraged to vote for other shows. The writers and directors weren't even supposed to be taking notes on the shows because we were ideally not going to be in them. So I had to go off pure memory of what all the other shows were, which again makes me think, oh yeah, I have to account for like what I've seen before. Some people are expanding their pieces for the festival, some of them from the directing thing we did before. Some others are bringing something new, you know, who else had limited cast, and how would I hypothetically best fit in? Because that's the other question. If I don't do writing for this festival, what do I do? Because now I'm in a situation where I voted for a bunch of shows that didn't entirely grab my attention, and I might not actually be a good fit for in general, just because people need particularly more male actors. And we can't open it up to first years or second years or 2020 graduates who didn't have a festival or a fringe because COVID. So we can't open up this. The 2020 graduates, they're not insured anymore by the university insurance, and the first years and stuff and the second years, they'll be doing other things, and they have a chance to do fringe performances, but not theatrical ones, which just messes up everything now. Large cast indeed. So needless to say, I'm not very happy, and I just now think that, what could I have done? I mean, my big thing would have been insist on going last. My song that I did got a huge round of applause. I wasn't even done pitching at that point, and they gave me a big round of applause. So in the moment, it was the best received idea by audience estimation. But I don't know if that's going to translate now, because that means nothing the further it goes on. Back in the DAV speech, what was great about my one was that it seemed like everyone referred back to it. They hadn't prepared as much, and therefore they had their less to say, and they kept on saying, oh, well, I can't live up to, Quidditch, basically, because my thing was floor Quidditch. That's what I was about. So again, a hard sell, but clearly it worked. So the beauty of that was that everyone else kind of did the work for me in terms of making me stand out in a way. But of course now I'm up against a pool of writers, accomplished writers at that, because most of them have done stuff for the directorial stuff, and I'm trying to go from directing to writing, so I'm at disadvantage there. So I'm up against them. They have clear ideas, some of them an existing pool of actors, and even if they didn't prepare as much, even if they didn't have visuals or a song to go along with it, because not all of them are doing musicals. Hang on a second. That's it. Not all of them are doing musicals. So the people that wanted to do acting musical theatre specifically, the ones that wrote that stuff down, they have two options now. They have one of them, which again has an existing pool of actors, and they have me. who has practically guaranteed them at least an ensemble role. And now with the small cast, if they draw enough of a connection to it, they actually will acknowledge the fact that if I need a bunch of speaking roles, which I do, they're going to probably get them. So now I'm thinking, having dropped one of the characters, having signed up for one of them myself, and having the option to switch the genders of another two, or play them as gender neutral, I don't really care at all, I can actually hope for more people to draw that connection and more people to want to do mine, because lots of them signed up to do a musical. And I was panicking about something else as well, the fact that because of directing, they scheduled a meeting for us to book the rooms for rehearsals at the same time as the musical theatre workshop that we were doing, which meant that I thought I missed out on the chance to really properly pitch that. So again, worked extra hard to compensate. And now, it's perfect. Like, I mean, it's not ideal, but now that I've thought it through, I feel a little bit better. I hope people bear in mind that, yes, the other musical, it has options for almost seemingly limitless stories now I think about it. But if they wanted something more concrete, if they wanted something that has clearly outlined character arcs for them, and it's going to be a bunch of original songs that have never been performed before by them, and get to form part of the OST, which I promised them, then actually, I'm still a bit more unique than I thought I was. So yeah, I actually feel quite a great deal better. You know, I feel like I've actually got a chance again. So yeah, all the votes are done. This is not my plea to anyone to say, oh, you know, please vote for me, you know, pity my sorrow and whatever, because that's obviously manipulative and I don't want to do that. But what it is a chance for me to say, you know what? I hope everyone voted based on like all those factors. I hope everyone considered everything. In the moment, it's a bit hard to do that, and I hope that everyone remembered. And I hope against hope that I finally get to write and see a musical that I've written come to life, because I don't know when I'm going to get this chance again. I'm really hoping that it's sometime. Who knows? If nothing else came out of this, I finished the storyboard of the entire Siren story, and the reason that didn't go forward in Gacha was the fact that I had to think about a bunch of songs for each episode, and, you know, big fuss to do with that. We're going to do 10 episodes actually, which would involve 20 songs. I've got 13 songs, which I think is far more reasonable, you know, one per episode or something. I think actually now I have a solid structure. If I had to cut certain roles, I can just do this the Gacha one. So if nothing else, I at least have that option. But I really hope I don't get outvoted, because it's going to require a lot of votes, just because of quite a lot of people. So yeah, I would normally say vote with your hearts, but you've already done that. I leave myself now in the capable and very able hands of all those involved. So please leave a like or dislike, because your opinion matters. Just haven't done so already, and that's basically it. Directorials went well, pitch went well. It's now all down to fate. So on that note, until next time, farewell.